Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show, episode 480. I'm your host, Matrix Lord 212. I'm with Chris L. What's up, Chris?
Way, what's going on?
What's up, Scott?
Nothing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Nice. All right, so, of course, we got some Kong stuff again. What's up, Chris? We're good with the Kong stuff.
This is kind of my fault that I didn't report this yesterday, but I got to see it today. On the cast we did yesterday, there was like I said, there was the set video that someone got of the set of King Kong in Hawaii that's being filmed right now.
Oh, shit.
And I didn't see the video until today because someone took a still picture of what was in the video and was starting to analyze it a bit.
Okay.
And I thought it was worth mentioning that there was some interesting things in the video because there's some physical set pieces there that I think are actually pretty important to whatever is going to be happening in the movie.
Skull like the last time, or?
Well, that was what we reported yesterday. This is something different, though.
Okay.
The video is actually like a bird's eye view. Someone's in a chopper and they're filming down. They catch part of the set. What's on the set is more bones from possibly another Kong or the same
Dinosaur, maybe?
No, this one was of a giant arm.
Oh.
Kind of just laying there, right? Now, that was what I caught as soon as I saw it. I was like, that's an arm. Because someone analyzed it, and I was like, I see what they're saying. But someone else also pointed out that there seems to be like an insect shell or kind of endoskeleton, or I'm sorry, exoskeleton kind of laying there. Really weird. Like, I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but it does kind of look like that. And someone had a really interesting theory that came out today, and I'm starting to think that it might possibly, it not exactly be like this, but it would make sense for something like this to happen. They said, we know from past experience that Kong usually fights other creatures on the island. This would be a great way for them to introduce other kaiju from the Godzilla universe, and the few that they mentioned specifically were Kamanga.
Oh, yeah, because that's the Mantis, right?
The giant spider, and what you just said, Joe, Kamacuras.
Kamacuras.
And they said, why not make new ones and have them in there? You don't have to mention them by name, but fans, if you put a giant spider in there, that's a little throwback, and it makes sense.
Would they have permission to do that from the Godzilla people? I mean, because
most likely, yeah. Because I mean, if they gave them permission to use Ghidorah, Mothra, because officially, I believe what Legendary said was they have the rights to Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan, and other kaiju.
Anguirus?
Good. Like you said, they don't even have to mention them by name.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. They don't have to mention them by name. If they put and they just said it's a giant spider, why can't it be Kamakura? I'm sorry, Komanga. Well, if there's a giant mantis, why can't it be Kamacuras? If Godzilla exists in this universe, what's the big deal? So I think that that's something that they could do. Another thing they could do is have some dinosaur-like kaiju on the island, because Kong fights dinosaurs anyway. But here's the thing. If Kong's going to be this huge, you can't just say, oh, he's fighting a T-Rex, because that doesn't make sense.
Right.
They could introduce Gorosaurus. They can introduce Anguirus. They can introduce a whole bunch of other things. So I think that this is going to be a really good way to introduce the world of kaiju into this universe.
Now, let me ask you a question. Are they going to make it that Godzilla and King Kong fought in the past? Like, where, Godzilla's a legendary thing, so is Kong, and, that this is, a rematch, sort of like we saw them in the past, but, this is...
Officially, they haven't said anything about that yet, because you got to remember, the movie's 5 years off. So, they're not going to answer anything like that. But, personally, I hope that in the Godzilla vs. Kong movie, that it's the first time that they've ever met.
Really?
I hope yeah, I really hope it's the first time that they've ever met and that they fought. Because what I really don't want them to do is say that one has a victory over the other.
Okay.
Then it's rematching. Because what I'm afraid that they're going to do is that they're going to say that Godzilla's been on Skull Island before and he killed some of the Kong species before.
Yeah, I don't want that.
This is like Kong's revenge. I hope that's not like that. I hope it's the first time that they've ever met
Right.
And
But then
this is
Godzilla's
their
going to
fighting.
win. They're not going to have King Kong win.
I think honestly it's going to be whoever has more movie value, and to me that's Godzilla because you can
Right.
do a lot more with Godzilla than Kong.
Right.
But I really, really hope, and I'm hoping more than anything with these movies, is that if Godzilla and Kong team up, it's against a brand new kaiju.
Right. Well, I want to see after they fight. Right?
Yeah.
I want to do a take on Monster Zero, but you have all the space kaijus. Or
I
whatever.
was just thinking that.
You have Gigan. You could do Ghidorah or whatever because it was like Monster Zero, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
Ghidorah was Monster Zero. Yeah.
Ghidorah was Monster Zero, but then they keep changing the name to Ghidorah instead of Ghidorah.
Well, they changed the reason that they called him Monster Zero in Godzilla vs. Monster Zero or Invasion of Astro Monster is the other
Right.
title, is because the Exilians on Planet X, they didn't give things names, they gave them numbers. So in the movie, the controller of Planet X says this is Monster Zero, and the astronauts say it's Ghidorah, and they go, yeah, we know that on your planet he's called Ghidorah, but here we
Right, I
named
remember that.
And that's why in the movie he says, we wish to borrow Monster Zero 1 and Monster Zero 2, being Godzilla and Rodan, respectively.
But again, they used to call Ghidorah or Ghidorah. Like, why did they
Right.
change that part?
Ghidorah was the original name, and then
Right.
later on in the Heisei series, they changed it to King Ghidorah.
So what is
And,
it now?
Right now, Legendary confirmed it as they just called him Ghidorah. They
So
said
it's
King
a new one.
Ghidorah. I think they're taking King out of a lot of the things titles because I
Right,
think
because Godzilla's only king.
exactly they want to establish Godzilla as the king of monsters. That's why he's just called Kong. That's why Ghidorah is just Ghidorah right now. I don't know what. Like I know recently he was called Kaiser Ghidorah in Final Wars, but that was a whole different thing. So
Right.
I'd say Ghidorah is probably his name.
What was Megalon?
Megalon.
Was with
There's
the
actually an interesting story about that, but Megalon,
was
he
he,
was-
was he like from space also?
well, he was originally meant to be a space monster, but they took him out of Godzilla vs. Gigan and they put him in his own movie. It's a funny thing that wasn't even supposed to be a Godzilla movie.
Right.
That was supposed to be Jet Jaguar versus Megalon,
right.
but Toho was like, this isn't going to sell, so we'll put
Right.
Godzilla in it. Megalon is actually a mutant, so really weird. The funny thing is, if you go on the Muto site that they set up for Godzilla 2014,
Right.
and you put in the names of some of the kaiju,
Right.
it's funny that Megalon is the only one that doesn't get the same response that every other one does.
Wow.
So he
That's
may show up. I think Megalon is possible because they could rework his origin.
I like Megalon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the
I
drill
mean,
thing. Like they go like.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
Teaming up, him and Guy. It was great. It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
I'm just hoping that in this new Kong movie they show Spyga or Kamacuras too,
Right.
just somewhere. Just throw them on the island. Why not?
And I do want to see Mothra with Godzilla. And I want to see like the two twins. You know.
I had a whole idea about how you can do that because
Yeah.
they're not going to be inches tall. I said what would be cool is if in the movie, whenever Mothra shows up, because we know she's showing up sometime,
Right.
if she was on an enclosed island with a populace who believed that she was a goddess, it would make sense that if people on that island, if a woman gave birth to twins, and that never happened before on that island,
Right.
that the islanders would assume that was a gift from Mothra or something, and they would make them her voice.
Right.
So that's a way you could ground that without it having to be all magical and stuff, because they're not going to do that
Right.
in these movies.
It's true. Well, isn't it in China they're only allowed to have one child? Now they
You're
changed it.
changing it to 2 now.
Right, but for them,
Yeah.
but the whole concept of them having twins is impossible. That's why it was like a big deal, I guess. When right? Well, Japan's different. Japan's different, I guess, right?
Well, yeah.
Japan, they could have as many, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right. But still, I think it's rare over there to have twins, right?
Well, I mean, even if it is, or if it isn't, if you just put that on this setting in the island, if these islanders are totally isolated, and then they see identical twins. They're like, oh,
But
you know,
wasn't Batra
that's
like
different. Yeah.
the evil Mothra or something? Didn't they have evil twins?
No, I think that was an idea that some people had, but they didn't. Batra was kind of like.
What was the movie that I have that there's evil twins?
That's one of Mothra's own movies. There's an evil sister that they have.
Okay, so it was the evil Mothra sister?
Yeah.
Okay.
Batra is a lot different from Mothra because Batra is technically not evil. He protects the Earth, just the Earth.
Okay.
He doesn't protect humanity, and he regularly, in the movie, it was Godzilla vs. Mothra in '92, it was made. He attacked humanity.
Didn't they also call that, well, the guy, when Godzilla fought Mothra, they called it the Thing also? Well,
that was from the original one.
But there was two Mothra, there was two of them that became, right?
You're thinking of, in the original one, Mothra vs. Godzilla. That was in 1964. That was after King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Right, but there were two technically.
Yeah, Mothra died fighting Godzilla, and then her twins defeated him at the end of the movie.
Now, are those twins were supposed to be Mothra and then somebody else?
No, they were two Mothras.
Two Mothras.
One of them died, and one of them continued on throughout the series. In '92, which has no connection to that movie, there was Mothra and Batra, and they both woke up around the same time because Godzilla was hibernating, the Earth got struck by a meteorite that started changing the environment, and it awoke Godzilla. Batra assumed that it was humanity that caused the environmental change. Mothra was trying to tell him it wasn't, and then Batra attacked Godzilla, which is always a bad idea, and then Godzilla was like, excuse me, and then he retaliated, and they literally, I love that movie because it says that him and Godzilla fought into the Earth's core, and they kept fighting, and then Godzilla comes out through a volcano, and it's the most badass thing. And throughout the whole movie, they're like, Godzilla's dead. He couldn't survive. And then he comes back, and they're like, fuck. Like, what the hell?
What was the all-out monster attack? Wasn't Mothra in that too?
Yeah, that was in 2002. That was when that was Ghost Godzilla. That's what they call him. I call him that too.
Ghost Godzilla.
Yeah, because he was supposed to be like a demonic force, but he really wasn't. And then. He kills everybody in that movie. It's great.
Was that thinking like a parallel dimension weird thing? Was that the one? And then he sent into a parallel dimension or something?
That was.
Well, that Megasaurus.
Megaguirus. Yeah, they tried to trap him in a black hole, and then that's when it was established that Godzilla can survive black holes too. That was a great after credits scene because at the end of the movie they're like, "Oh, he's dead. We got him." And then there's an after credits scene where you hear his roar, and they're like, "Oh no!"
I love that. I love the classic one, and he's like, and it's like,
oh yeah.
Like my favorite one when I was a kid is seeing, him fighting another Godzilla, and then all of a sudden, like you see the whirlwind twisting around, and he's like trying to get through, and then it becomes Mecha Godzilla. That was like my favorite one of all time. Like when he first saw the robot Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla, and then he appeared like 3 times.
Yeah, Mecha Godzilla messed him up in that movie.
Yeah, that was really cool though. That was like my favorites. And then they had him team up with what was that
King
guy?
Caesar.
No, Titanosaurus.
Oh yeah, Mecha Godzilla teamed up with him. Yeah.
Yeah, Titanosaurus. Right. I love Godzilla movies. And who's beeping me over there? Hold on a sec. My phone's beeping. Let me just see what it is. Continue.
Sure. So yeah, I think this Kong movie could be a really good connecting point for a lot of these kaiju.
What I want is if they're going to do the whole dinosaur thing, to me it would look a lot more interesting and great if Kong was maybe just a wee bit smaller than the Tyrannosaurus Rex. There's just something, to me that it just brings a much more bigger fight where you see him just looking up going.
Yeah, I think you're right, Scott. I think if they showed him, like I've said this before, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, but if they show him using the environment to his advantage, it makes him seem smarter and makes him an underdog so people can kind of root for him. And then when eventually he goes up against Godzilla, it's like, oh boy, here we go. 'Cause I think it's gonna be great.
With these two bigger dinosaurs, and then Kong is like the ultimate MMA fight.
Yeah. That it was
probably there. You go. There's a good way of good promotion. 2000 yada. They promote it as an MMA fight, and then you hear Godzilla and Kong's roars.
Yeah. It was funny too. Someone said, you know how Kong in the original movie he breaks that T-Rex's jaw.
Yeah.
They said that it would be cool if in Godzilla vs. Kong he was trying to do that to Godzilla, and then you see Godzilla's spine start to light up, and he fires his atomic breath, and Kong's just like, uh-oh, I think I made a mistake here. Like,
and he's like falling like, okay.
He's like, we're not gonna do that again.
So far, I think my favorite of the Kong's movies is the one with the guy from Perry Mason in that. That's so far That's so far my favorite one. Raymond Burr.
What was the thing with King Kong, where King Kong fought a Mecha Kong?
Oh, that was King Kong Escapes.
Yeah.
I believe. It was
okay.
Mechanicon, yeah.
Mechanicon?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a funny story. This Godzilla vs. Kong movie was supposed to be made in 1991.
Gloria, welcome!
Yeah, Gloria, we're live. We've been live.
Oh.
Okay.
Well.
Well.
All right. All right, we're going to have to end this because... all right. Let's finish this off, and then I got to see what Gloria wants, so...
Yeah.
Okay, go.
No, I was just gonna say, Toho wanted to do a King Kong versus Godzilla kind of another movie in '91, but they didn't have the ability to do so. So they were gonna do Godzilla versus Mechanicon, and then they were like, that's kind of stupid. So then they went with Godzilla. They went with Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and that's why Ghidorah is becoming became his arch nemesis in the Heisei series too.
Okay. All right, so I do want to continue this, but there's a crisis. So we're going to have to end the show now, and hopefully we can pick this up in a little bit. Take care. Bye for now.
Ciao.